You need to know 3 techniques in order to read the mind of anyone. These are absolutely necessary if you want, with complete ease, tell and understand what others think. So let me share with you a Buddhist story that will teach how easy it is reading minds. In an old village, there were 2 brothers living together, one blind elder brother for whom most of time has to pass by sitting on ground at home. Another younger was doing farming as their crops always got eaten up from animals. Everyday youngers worry about this problem, which later he came up with plan, can I do something, because it destroy money also, after thinking, why not have my grown older privilege, because animals never eat our own fields. Eldest had told him, let help them out as well, placing seat beside field standing hunters seated, telling, hey brother man, listen. Keenly noise shouting misleading animality lost their roots farmer. Tradition operation continued over weeks. Once, there was a field where a deer dashed through, breaking the fence before fleeing. Shortly thereafter, a king who was in pursuit of the deer arrived at the same field. The king noticed a blind man and inquired if he had seen the deer. The blind man replied, Your Majesty, I am blind. How could I possibly see a deer? However, I can assure you that the creature that left my field is not worth your pursuit. You are squandering your time. The king was taken aback by the blind man's assertion and asked how he could possibly know this. He questioned whether the blind man was deceiving him, as he claimed to be blind yet spoke about the value of the deer. In response, the blind man explained, Your Majesty, the creature you think is a deer is, in fact, a pregnant dew. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant dew, so I assure you she is not worth your chase. You should not worth your chase. You should not waste your time. The king was left in disbelief, struggling to understand how a blind man could discern that the dew was pregnant. He contemplated, how could a blind person possess such knowledge? How could he be certain whether the deer I am pursuing is pregnant or not? How could he confidently relay this information despite his blindness? The king felt compelled to ascertain the truth and therefore directed his commander with a specific request. I want that animal alive. I need to determine if it is indeed a pregnant doe. The blind man appears to be quite certain about this, and I must investigate further. Please find out if she is pregnant. The commander acknowledged the king's orders and set out to fulfill them. Upon his return, he informed the king that the blind man was indeed correct. The dew was pregnant. The king was astonished and puzzled over how the blind man had acquired such knowledge regarding the doe's condition. Numerous questions filled the king's mind, prompting him to seek answers from the blind man. I may not know if you are genuinely blind, the king began, but I have come to inquire about one matter. Will you provide me with an honest answer to my question? The blind man replied, Your Majesty, you may ask me anything and I will respond truthfully. The king continued, You are a wise individual with a profound understanding of many matters. Today, I have summoned you to discern whether my wife remains faithful to me. The blind man responded, Your Majesty, what sort of question is this? Your marriage has endured for many years, and now you seek to uncover such truths? The king was filled with joy upon realizing that everything the blind brother had stated was accurate. Immediately, he approached the blind brother and inquired how he had discerned his wife's infidelity. The blind man responded, Your Majesty, it is quite simple. I expressed a desire to touch your wife, and her furious reaction was to strike me. Had she truly been faithful, she could have easily refused my advance. Instead, she chose to assault me, which inadvertently allowed her to make contact with my entire body. Now, I ask you, how can such a woman be considered faithful? The king acknowledged the blind man's wisdom and said, Very well, let us continue. Answer one more question correctly, and I shall grant you your freedom. The king then posed the question, Am I genuinely my father's son, or am I the offspring of another? The blind brother replied, Your Majesty, why concern yourself with this inquiry? Regardless of your parentage, you are the king of this realm, so it would be wise to dismiss this question. However, the king insisted, No, I must have a definitive answer. Otherwise, this question will perpetually trouble me. I seek the truth. The blind brother addressed the king, stating, Your Majesty, I can reveal to you the identity of your parentage. But first, I require your assurance that you will not react with anger. The king replied, I assure you, I will not be angry. The blind brother then continued, You are indeed your father's son. However, You also bear the influence of a miserly merchant." Upon hearing this, the king hurried to his mother, imploring her, "Mother, please tell me the truth. Am I truly my father's son or someone else's? If you do not provide me with the truth, I shall end my life here." The king's mother responded, "My son, you are indeed your father's child, but you are also under the influence of a miserly merchant." The king, filled with joy, quickly returned to the blind brother and inquired, "How did you discern that I was under the influence of a miserly merchant?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, you posed numerous questions, and I provided accurate answers to each. If you were any other king, I would have received ample rewards by now. However, you have not granted me a single coin. From this, I deduce that you are quite stingy." The king erupted in laughter and declared that he would grant any request, but he inquired how the blind brother discerned right from wrong and provided such accurate answers. The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, my blindness is inherent. If I possessed sight, I could easily grasp the thoughts of others. The mind communicates through its own language, which is reflected in a person's physical actions. By observing their eyes, lips, and overall behavior, one can infer their thoughts. However, as I am blind, I rely on actions. To gain insight, I must assign tasks to others and analyze how they perform them, which reveals their mental state." The king then asked if he too could understand the thoughts of others. The blind brother affirmed, "Indeed, you can comprehend the thoughts of anyone, but first you must focus on self-improvement. This involves calming your mind and centering your thoughts in the present. Today, I will share 3 simple and effective methods to achieve this." Your Majesty, prior to proceeding, it is essential to undertake a singular task, to concentrate your mind. When we direct our focus and align our thoughts with the present moment, we gain the ability to comprehend the thoughts of others, as they too are engaged in the present. It is imperative that we bring our own minds into the present. Only then can we grasp their thoughts. If we remain preoccupied with past occurrences, we will be unable to discern what another individual is contemplating in the present, as our attention is consumed by previous events. To truly understand another's thoughts, we must first concentrate our minds and anchor them in the present. Subsequently, the blind brother addressed the king, stating, "Your Majesty, I shall share with you 3 methods that will enable you to easily discern the thoughts of others." The blind man continued, "O king, the first approach is to observe the eyes. The most crucial aspect of communication is to maintain eye contact, for while the eyes do not articulate words, they convey a wealth of information. By learning to interpret the signals conveyed through a person's eyes, we can gain insight into their thoughts and intentions. I lack the ability to see, yet I acquired this skill from the esteemed Gautama Buddha many years ago, who served as my mentor and guide. In the past, I possessed sight and could discern individuals' thoughts solely through their eyes. Therefore, if you wish to understand the thoughts of others, you should pay attention to their eyes, including their gaze, the direction in which they are looking, and whether their eyes wander during your conversation. If their gaze shifts aimlessly, it may indicate a desire to escape the dialogue, and if someone avoids direct eye contact, it suggests they may be fearful of having their deception uncovered. Conversely, if their eyes remain fixed on you, they are likely to be honest and engaged, eager to share their thoughts. Additionally, observe the movement of their eyebrows, as they can uniquely convey emotions. For instance, raised eyebrows often signify surprise or interest,